My name is Dylan CineMasai Green, and welcome to the Real Notes podcast. I speak with rappers, producers, journalists, and other hip-hop adjacent figures about their relationship with movies, and, if at all, film inspires their craft. My guest this week is New York-based singer, songwriter, producer, filmmaker, and multidisciplinary artist, YATTA. We spoke about Serafina, Amistad, Chicago, the art of the musical, our mutual love of MTV's TRL and BET's 106 in Park, making the transition from filmmaking to music, the pros and cons of making your music more accessible, and the creative process behind their 3 musical projects, Spirit Said Yes, Wahala, and last year's Palm Wine, out now via PTP. Come fuck with us. What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to Real Notes. Second episode of season 5. Still getting used to doing intros. This is all off the top of my head. I've only been up for I've been up for a while. I've been up for a couple hours, but once again, I know people probably saw it already, but I wanted to thank everybody who pulled up to the Seafood Real Talk. It's out now on, if you're listening, if you're seeing this, you're on Patreon, but if you're listening to it, it's everywhere. But come to my Patreon if you want to hear me and Liv's conversation. The recap videos out places now. Me and my partner shot it. I edited it myself on some real DIY shit. So thanks to everybody who supported that. It makes a lot. But my name's Dylan Green, CineMasai. Got a lot of names, do a lot of shit. Outside, inside, all sides. And I say that every week, but I'm legit with somebody who's outside, inside, all sides, does every kind of art you could possibly imagine. They don't just do music. There's performance art, there's visual art, there's also I'm not gonna sit here and list everything, but we got Yatta, we got Ricky. Ricky's in the house today. Palm Wine's been out for a couple of months, out through the good folks at PTP. Shout out to Gang and Purple Tape and everybody over there. Yatta, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
No, of course. This was, like I told you off camera, this is something I wanted to do back when the album first came out, but schedule stuff just got past me. But now that I'm kind of easing my way back into doing this, I'm just, it's been revisiting Palm Wine and Wahala and everything has just been your music is really a trip. And I know
that's
that
a good way to put it.
Especially Wahala. We're gonna get into all the particulars, but just because it's on my mind, I just love hearing, I don't know, Palm Wine feels like a really interesting evolution, considering that it's a little more pop leaning. I love the WhatsApp interlude. That's one that I had to run back a couple times when I first heard it. Just the idea and just all the different chimes and social media tones. I don't know. I love playful, short, creative stuff like that. So it's cool to see it work out.
Yeah, it's a big jump from Wahala to Palm Wine. It's a different person.
Yeah, no, I wanna get into that transition, but before we do, I wanna ask you the first question I ask everybody who comes on here, which is what was the last movie or TV show you watched that you had a strong opinion about?
Ooh, wow. I should have prepared. Okay, let's see. I revisited Serafina. Did you ever see that?
No, put me on.
Well, it was basically a beautiful musical about South African apartheid. I grew up with it. It was kind of the first musical that I ever saw. And here, Hugh Masekela did the soundtrack, and so I grew up listening to him, sort of South African jazz. Yeah, so that I just was kind of, it was 1992, Whoopi Goldberg. I'm looking at it now, just remembering.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at this too. I've never heard of this before. Wow.
Yeah, it was kind of, maybe it was my first film, or one of the first films that I loved. And So I was thinking about this, and I was also thinking about the first album um that I remember listening to at this time.
Mhm.
Whitney Houston's whatever album was had a shoot. She says something about Armageddon. Oh, my love is your love.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
So
Okay. Okay. Okay.
those two in my mind are connected. And I feel like it was a time where people were talking about things that were going on in the world, but with like some levity and play,
Hmm.
which I think is really important. But yeah, I've just been thinking about uh, like music media from that time.
Right. Okay. So I mean, like, just as somebody who's never seen Serafina, like, I
Hmm.
really do want to dig into that for a second. Like, you don't gotta tell me everything that happens in the movie, but like,
Yeah.
walk me through a bit of like what it's about and like when, or like you said you recently revisited it. So like,
Yeah.
how do you feel rewatching it now that you're older?
Um, I mean, the music still slaps. Um,
Yeah.
I think,
Masakilla will do that, man.
yeah,
He's amazing. You
exactly.
know.
And then seeing Whoopi Goldberg in that role, I think just like having um, yeah, I think there's just like something powerful about having an African American who grew up in America playing a South African role. I just think, yeah, I think it's beautiful. Oh, and around that time was also Amistad. Did you ever see that?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I've seen Amistad. Yeah.
yeah. I'm just like remembering that whole, all of those are sort of together in my mind. Um, uh, and I remember that I think maybe the lead of Amistad was Sierra Leonean.
Yeah, that's Jamin Hansu, if I remember
Yes,
correctly. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I guess just thinking of I struggle to read like history. So movies are kind of the and podcasts are kind of the only ways I can pay attention.
Yeah.
Like even in school. So I guess just thinking about I guess government and violence, just
Yeah.
casual things. And just how that can be connected to music. I just yeah, and music's kind of my favorite way to learn about history too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. You know, like music and film make those two things so accessible. Like
Mhm.
there's so many historical events and like just people and like cultural aspects and so many other things I just never would have, or not even never would have learned, but I would have learned like way later if I didn't hear him in a song or
Yeah.
watch him in a movie. You know, like it's like that's really like I feel like most people are like that. Like
Yeah.
you're not gonna like it's just like that's just like the vessel for all of it, and it
Mhm.
feels I mean, like, not necessarily that it feels right, but it's just like that's just cool that, you know, like even if you never pick up like an almanac or like a world history
Mhm.
textbook or whatever, like there's still stuff to learn out there,
Yeah.
and you know it's powerful.
Mhm. Yeah, and I feel like, the Western world is like written word over everything. And
Hmm.
I mean, especially now, my attention span is shot. So I'm trying to get a Kindle, but I don't know.
I feel
I'm
it.
gonna stick to podcasts and movies and music.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm definitely the same way. Like, I mean, like, as a writer, like, you know, like, I'm always gonna champion the value of the written word. But like,
Hmm.
I, I have a, not that I have a hard time reading books, but
Yeah.
I just don't read them as quickly as I want to. Like, I'll
Yeah.
like be on a kick for like a month, and then I'll put the book away and be like, I'm gonna come back to this in 2 days, and then
Yeah.
2 months go by. Like, I've been off and on reading Asada Shakur's autobiography
Oh
since
wow.
like
Yeah.
last summer, you know, and like I
Yeah,
still haven't
that's a
finished it
nice
yet.
way to read. Just like coming back and like kind of grazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then I start to forget shit. It's kind of like I think of it like if you start like a video game and you
Hmm.
play it for like a decent amount of time and then you leave and then it's just like you come back and like your progress is saved, but you don't, you got to like get used to the controls again. Like you can't remember the story. Like I've had to restart like 2 or 3 games because like I just took 6 months off, and I'm like,
Hmm.
I don't remember where I am in the story, like what I'm trying to do. Like it just like nothing made sense to me.
Yeah, you like leave the world and have to refamiliarize yourself with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Catch y'all later. But yeah, I wanna run things all the way back with you. With movies in particular. Like I know, like I know you said Serafina was one of the first movies you remember falling in love with specifically, but I want to know what's the first movie experience period you ever had. Like it could be at
Whoa.
the theater, it could be at your cousin's house, like just the very first thing that comes to mind.
Mm, wow. That's a good question. Okay. So around, I guess 1992 is pretty much, early, which is when Serafina came out. Um, oh, I mean, I'm kind of like a theater nerd at heart. So I love Chicago. That was one. Um,
Oh.
yeah, I'm trying to think. Oh, yeah, I'm trying to think of ones that I watched. Moulin Rouge, I also loved. I was very
Hmm.
much like musicals. So those are the things that I rewatch. Um, yeah, any serious movies?
I mean, like
Yeah.
musicals are cool too.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know.
I think musicals were kind of like the things that I really attached to, and I think it sort of has shaped the way that I see story. Like
Hmm.
everything has to be like an all-encompassing world, um, and narrative and play. Um, some musicals can be really annoying, but I think the best
Yeah.
ones have like standalone songs and yeah,
What was it about Chicago that piqued your interest in particular? Because that's one that like I never saw the stage production, but I've seen the
yeah.
movie. Like I remember when the movie came out, it was a big awards contender. Like that
Mm-hmm.
was like people were like, this is the one forever, and like Queen Latifah's in it. Like shout
Yeah.
out to her. But like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, growing up I was really into like jazz and I mean, yeah, as like a pre-teenager tween, I was listening to like a lot of blues and doo-wop and yeah, Broadway. I just liked the drama, like the over the top, you know, um, expression of character. Like I really love strong characters. And I remember Roxy being like a really strong character. Um, yeah, and I think like for me with movies, I have like two modes. It's either like pure um absurdity, joy, you know, play, or it's like documentary. Um, yeah, I actually went to school for film, and so, but it's funny because I don't watch that. I'm on this podcast, but I don't watch so many movies. I couldn't say no, but
Yeah.
it's the truth.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I always gotta like curb that misconception because this isn't like you don't gotta be like a nerd to be
Yeah.
on here. Like it's all just about how it plays for you. Like
Hmm.
like I've had people on here who only had like 4 or 5 experiences, but like those experiences kind of like
Hmm.
really like push them in a way that I don't know. I'm like you, I'm just into like interdisciplinary stuff, and I just love the way these things interact. And it seems like you do too, just based off of what
Yeah.
you've already said. Like you don't like you don't got to be an encyclopedia to be here. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I guess it's just full worlds. Yeah, and then I really loved reality TV. I grew up on that, which made me love documentaries. And
yeah.
because yeah, it is a documentary. And sometimes it's like, I don't know, real world, or even like the shows that got, or the reality shows that got really popular during COVID, all the loved ones. Like,
Hmm.
even if it's not real fully, it's like magical realism. You're like,
Yeah.
you know, because I think people can get kind of frustrated if it's like not real. But to me, I'm like, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I mean, like coming up, I only watched it for one season, but there was a period of time I was really fucking with Bad Girls Club, like a
Oh
lot.
my
Like
God.
it was season 4. Yeah, no, me and my sister used to watch season 4 of Bad Girls Club a lot.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
What? When did that come out? I
it had
remember
to have been
getting
like
into it too.
oh 05, oh 06.
Yeah.
It's sometime between like 2003 and 2006. I forget the exact year, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I always, yeah, I remember watching that too, and I always felt like I was sneaking it because it was, yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, like yeah, like that, and like I never really like watched The Real World, but
Hmm.
of course I've seen bits of it. I've seen bits of everything, 90 Day Fiance, like Love Island, like
Yes.
it's all, yeah,
It's all
like
there.
it's all there. And yeah, I like the fact that you kind of highlighted the magical realism aspect of it, because it is like it's manufactured
Hmm.
obviously, but it's like, like they rely and depend on people being kind of unpredictable or out of pocket. Like there's
Hmm.
always that, like it's like it really is like it's real and unreal at the same time. Like
Yeah.
it like even more than something like a documentary is, because
Hmm.
like like documentaries for the most part tout the realism about them. Like it's
Hmm.
about real shit for the most part. So it's like, yeah, like I don't watch as much reality TV as I used to, but
Hmm.
like there was never a time where I wasn't like fascinated by it. Just like the whole, like whether it's like that or like a game show. Like I think about, like, you ever watch Is It Cake on Netflix?
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
stuff like that.
I'm
It's
like,
it's
why do I care about this? But
yeah, like
I guess it's just watching people do things. I don't know. It's like a way to be socially connected without being around people.
yeah. It's weird, man. But like
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's like I like it when it's good. I'm not always, like I said, I'm not always in the mood for that sort of thing. But when I am, like when I am, I'm a sit down and watch um I haven't watched it in years, but there was a period of time I loved Flavor of Love
Oh
too.
yes,
Like, yeah, no,
totally.
like we all love New York. Who doesn't love New York?
No, yeah.
But
Honestly, like one of the most powerful peop that meme of New York sitting on the
yeah,
bed did numbers. Yeah.
yeah, that and Beyonce.
Hmm.
Like you can't ever you you can't ever knock her for that.
Yeah.
Um, but like as you got older and you started to develop your own, you started to like refine your palette to like really like solidify your taste.
Hmm.
Were there any other movies that, like, it seems like Serafina for you is what I like to call like a capital M movie, like something that really
Hmm.
stops you in your tracks and connects with you in like an emotional, artistic, or spiritual sense, just like something that's just, it goes like a step beyond just like 90 minutes of pure entertainment.
Hmm.
like can you, like, do you have any more of those?
For some reason, the movie that keeps coming to my head is Active Killing. Have you
uh
ever seen that? It was
let me check. That sounds familiar. I'm
it.
checking right now.
I'm checking too, because I guess this came out 2012.
Oh, this is a documentary. Oh no, I've heard of this.
Yeah.
I've never seen this.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
this one really got me. I think something about, because it was a documentary, but it went further in the way that it was shot and the way that it made you think. I feel like there was even some magic. I guess I really like magical realism, but I feel like some of the ways that they took it were sort of like, yeah, fever dream, and yeah.
Hmm.
I've always really liked things that, yeah, just play on reality. Because I think sometimes it can make what's going on feel easier to grasp, because I
Yeah.
think when you talk about things straight out, sometimes it's too much even.
Yeah, it's like analytical, and like very
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah, like even right now with like what's going on, with Mr. T.
Mm-hmm.
um I yeah, it's so much so often that I feel like the ways that I can engage are with people like normal people talking about it, or yeah. Uh
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, no, because like, how do you make everything he's got going on more abstract than it already is?
Yeah.
Like it's like he's like he's almost like a parody of himself and his whole cap. Like it's just like it's so ridiculous and over the top that it's like hard to abstract it because it's
Mhm.
already so abstract.
Right.
And like I think and see I haven't seen the act of killing, but I remember when this came out because once again it was like it was a huge deal like on the awards circuit, and like I
Yeah.
heard a lot of buzz about it. I just never got around to seeing this, but it's for people who don't know, the movie follows people who participated in the Indonesian mass killings in the 60s. Just like a bunch of like there was like a new order regime that was like trying to take over, and a bunch of people got assassinated, and like it was shot in Sumatra, and
Mhm.
it's just about all of this, and uh like the executioner has everybody like reenact the killings.
Yes.
It's a
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like once again I haven't seen it, so I'm not gonna sit here and like front like I have, but like I remember seeing the trailer and like talking to a couple friends about it and being like, damn, like this
Mhm.
it was something like I want to see this, and it fell out of my consciousness until it's been 13 years since I thought about this movie, and now I
Yeah.
really want to watch it again.
Yeah,
Like,
I want to watch it again too. Yeah, just like a reenactment, because then you're really like, oh, this shit happened. I think
right.
we get so desensitized that sometimes you need something really absurd. Because I'm like, yeah, what would it be to even make a movie about this time? I feel like maybe, I don't know. I don't know. I guess, yeah, I'm surprised that a lot of the movies that I'm talking about kind of have some violence in it. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's almost like the equivalent of somebody making a documentary and like having people reenact like January 6th or
Mm-hmm.
something. Like
Exactly.
like it's like at that level from what I understand.
Yeah,
But
so maybe those movies are coming.
yeah, I mean yeah, like see like that's the thing that interests me and gives me a lot of hope about like the time we're in, like the fact that I know some crazy art is gonna come out of all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Like not that art needs that kind of push to be great, but more often than not, art under these types of uh pressures, I guess for lack of a better word, like will like pressure makes diamonds, as we all
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
not that
and
it
I
always needs
think the
to,
music
but
has,
like yeah.
I mean, I think music and art has already gotten like more potent in the last like 3 years. Maybe it's
Yeah.
that, yeah, also post-COVID, or not post-COVID, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, like we're not necessarily at the peak of the pandemic, but it
Yes.
is still a pandemic out here for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like yeah, I don't really have any other words for it, but like it's just one of those moments where it's like, damn, we're like living history right now.
Hmm.
Like
Deeply.
like all those people who were like, how would you have acted in like fucking late 30s, early 40s Germany when Hitler took over? Like now
Yeah.
like this
Right.
is like we're kind of at that nexus point right
Hmm.
now, and it's like obviously like we can only do so much as individuals, but like
Yeah.
that's why I'm happy to be surrounded by like really good people, like like Gang and yourself
I
and
know.
like
I'm
everybody
so
who's like
grateful for Gang.
yeah, like let's yeah, I mean like we already mentioned it before, but like shout
Yeah.
out to Gang always
Yeah,
and
he's an
forever, like the
amazing person.
yeah, I mean like before we get into music specifically with you, um yeah, I want to know how y'all first met, like because
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy just how far his shit stretches out. Like most people know him as like a, I don't know, like he's like very much like a hip hop fashion person to me, like in a lot of
Mhm.
ways, but he does so much more than
So
that. Like,
much. Yeah.
so like how did y'all meet?
We met on Facebook.
Wow. Let's go.
I had purple tapes as my banner, and somehow we got connected because of that. I had never heard of him before, but I had just put out my first project, Spirit Said Yes. And so then we did a re-release on PTP. Through us just I remember he was in Europe playing shows. I don't remember exactly um, what the shows were, but I just remember us like messaging. And then next thing you know, and I was living in Houston at that time. So
Mm-hmm.
I was really online, like I was making digital art at the time and meeting people through that online. Like, you know, um, yeah, so many artists now that have left that digital art space and moved into other things. Um, but yeah, we met online. Yeah.
So I mean that's great, you know, like that's like I'm you know, like I said, I feel like that's how, or not, I feel like that's how we met too, you know,
Oh
like he
yeah.
just reached,
Okay.
you know, like he just reached
Yeah.
out because he heard an early episode of this pod and was like, you're dope, like let's
Mhm.
connect. And that was, you know, like that you really got to value people who like go out their way to be like, hey, you're dope, like even
Mhm.
if it's just like, even if it doesn't lead to like an opportunity, it's just like good to like, that's how you know that's like a real person,
Yeah.
you know,
And
as
it
opposed to,
makes a
yeah.
huge difference because it's so easy to want to quit
Mm,
anything having to do with art while you're trying to survive. And so having someone who's just always down and committed and believes in people, like it's just, yeah, invaluable. But
yeah, it's indescribable how
yeah.
important that is.
Mhm.
So I want to do the capital M music, or excuse me, I want to do the capital M thing with music. There we go.
Yes. Okay.
So I mean, like, so it's like I like to think of this as like, when did you first become like fascinated with music? Like not even like in terms of wanting to make it, but just like when did music become important to you generally?
I remember like the first mix I made to dance to. I used to love dancing, so um, I made this mix that had like Missy Elliott. Um, okay, it was. This is really. I was probably like an early teenager. It was like "Lose My Breath," "Chicken Noodle Soup." Uh, yeah, it was sort of like
Yeah.
BT time,
I was about to say, you're speaking my language right now. Yeah, no,
BT time.
like
So I was obsessed with BT and I was obsessed with TRL. So I think that's where it was, deep
yeah,
MTV.
yeah, like
Yeah.
the yeah. I mean, like that era was just like BET had this. I mean, like I was a big 106 in Park kid,
Oh,
but
that's
like
exactly it. 106 in Park raised me.
yeah,
Yeah.
like but BET also had this, like they had their like MTV Jams equivalent. It was called BET Now. Like
Mm-hmm.
I can't ever find videos of it anywhere, but like my sister and I used to sit in like at home and just like watch BET Now, and it would be like Destiny's Child, Cater to You,
Yes.
Jeezy and Akon, Soul Survivor, fucking
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, like that specific like era of like early to mid and late
Yeah.
2000s stuff. And like yeah, just like you, just like all the songs you said, like like that. And like A Marie is one of my favorite artists
Oh my
ever, you
God.
know,
Yeah.
like A Marie's first album is like maybe that's a perfect album to me. Like I play that
Mm-hmm.
every time it gets warm out. Like
Wow.
at the start of every spring, I play that album at least like 2 times a week.
Yeah,
Like
I mean her voice is that. It's like
yeah,
summer and yeah. Yeah, I loved her. I mean, also just the power of music videos. I
yeah,
think people
man.
were really, really invested in that. And people, yeah, it was sort of like that's how you got into a song. You were like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, did you see the video? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was the like the onus, the like music videos are obviously still around and in my opinion important now,
Mm-hmm.
but the onus is more on the artists to make that happen
Yes.
like on their own a lot of the time, as opposed to like there was like a whole apparatus for like
Mm-hmm.
music, that was like a whole part of like a big artist budget back in the day, and that's
Yeah.
like not, I mean like some people it's still a part of their budget, but it's like it's definitely not as widespread as it once was. Like
Mm-hmm.
like even something like the equivalent to Jeezy. I mean like it's not a one of one comparison, but like I compare Jeezy to somebody like Bossman D-Lo, who I love from
Mm-hmm.
Florida. Like
Yeah.
shout out to D-Lo, and like like in like back in the day, like D-Lo would have had like 6 videos that were like the
Yes.
most highly produced, like crazy, like
Basically a
bumping
movie.
shit. Yeah, like
Yeah.
if we were like if D-Lo existed in like '05 or '06, like
Mm-hmm.
his videos would just be like the craziest, most garish things you've ever seen.
Yes,
And
exactly.
like like he still has cool videos now, but it's like it's like I always think like this could be bigger if he wanted it to be, or
Mm-hmm.
if like the situation was right. I don't know, I'm just raw thoughts, but yeah, it'd be like to your point, like that's how you would get into like as much as I love Destiny's Child's Cater to You, like the video is what sold it to me,
Exactly. Because you're
like
like, oh, this is the vibe. Like, this is the world.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, and also it like brought in fashion too,
uh-huh, yep.
because you would see, oh, okay, these are the clothes that are associated with this music. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was like it was mood boarding. Like that was
Mm-hmm.
that was just like the way you did it, and you would style yourself and like that. Like of course like 50 Cent G Unit. Like I was like a big G Unit kid, so like that's like I'll never forget seeing the Hate It or Love It video, and like like seeing him in the puffer and talking about the Yankee fitted. Like like it's like that's where the ideas come from, and that's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, like like not to like that's culture, like for lack
Mm-hmm.
of a better word, like and like obviously it extends beyond hip hop and R&B, like like that's how it is for everything, like
Yeah.
whether it's rock music or jazz music or like Guam, whatever, like it's
Mm-hmm.
all like the videos play such an important role in like defining what that shit is for
Yeah.
so many people, like even
Yeah.
today. So
Yeah. I feel like, yeah, the internet has made genres all meld together, which I love. And I guess maybe it makes it a little bit harder to have like a really distinct style, fashion associated with it. Like I think
definitely.
they're fashion people, but having like a something where, a group of kids dresses like this. I mean, I guess, like Tyler the Creator still has that
Mm-hmm.
um like
Yeah, no.
cult following that comes with fashion and everything.
Yeah, like and yeah, like he's somebody who has like a like he has a vision. Like
Mhm.
there's like a whole there's vision there between the music and the clothes, like whether it's like the golf wang stuff or the
Mhm.
fancier LaFleur stuff, like he's somebody who has like this huge vision.
Mhm.
And like obviously there are people who have vision and like a visual aesthetic and like an identifiers and stuff, but like he's definitely somebody like at like the tippy top who I'm like, yeah, like
Mhm.
that's I hate to categorize it like that, but that's like an artist.
Yeah.
Like it like in the way that he brings like he's very like I never want to be the person who's like, oh, like like artist is better than rapper. He's a
Mhm.
rapper. He's a great rapper, always has been, but like he brings all the elements of like the music and the fashion and just like the image. Like
Mhm.
he's like an artist and a star in that very specific way, and like
Yeah.
like even if all the music doesn't hit for me, I'll always appreciate him just like not just being so uncompromising in the vision. Like that's
Exactly. It makes a
always dope to
difference.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I feel like now Dochi's kind of tapping into that where it's
she's coming
just,
up. Yep.
also like skits. I
Yeah.
think I love skits, and so I feel like she's in that lineage, which is cool to see.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because like I remember when I first heard "Denial Is a River," and I was like, "Oh, this is a Tyler the Creator song."
Yeah.
Just like my fault. Sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to shout out the Real Notes Patreon one time. For as little as $5 a month, you get exclusive goodies like video of every interview, 2-day early access to every interview, an invite to the Real Notes Discord server, exclusive access to the Real Talk Movie Night archive, and early pre-sale links for all live events. If you want to give a little more, you get other exclusives like retro 60-second movie reviews and monthly 90-minute workshops with me, where we can discuss whatever creative questions or projects you might have going on. Head over to patreon.com/realnotes. That's REELNOTES to join right now. I repeat, all videos will only be available on the Patreon. Thanks for listening. Shout out to my patrons. Now let's get back to talking. Like off top, like with like the therapist and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
I know a lot of people heard the song and were like, "Oh, it also sounds like a Hobson song," and I'm like, "Oh, I never liked Hobson. He was always kind of like he's like what I imagine everybody thought Tyler was when he like first started, but like I can see it, but I just don't like Hobson, and I'm not the
Yeah.
person who's gonna like
You're like,
no,
that's not it.
hell no. But
Yeah.
like. But yeah, like I love like just like even like down to her performances, like Doechie's like it's just like the stuff at the Grammys and the stuff on Colbert, like she's got a vision,
Yes,
like there's a
exactly.
vision there, and like
Yeah.
that's like to me more than anything, like outside of like how like the quality of the music or whatever you're making, like the vision is what's gonna take you. Like if people can buy into your vision, you're gone,
Yeah.
and like she's got it like that, and nobody can really take that from her. So
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I feel like because then people are just along for the world building. Yeah.
exactly. And I mean, like, what a perfect segue. I want to get into how you started building worlds and all that stuff. So like as you get older and you go to college, I know there is a period of time where like you kind of decide like I want to do art, and not even just like music, but just like I said, you do every kind of art imaginable. So like I always ask like when did I mean like in this case when did music, but when did art generally, but music specifically, become more than just a hobby for you? Like, when did you know, like, I'm a lifer, this is like, I'm doing this forever?
Yeah. I feel like it was always like a sleeper thing. Like it was underneath everything, and I didn't fully commit, I think, because I just didn't have artists in my immediate family, so I never really
Mm-hmm.
thought that that was an option. But I always loved singing jazz. So that's like the core of everything. It's just jazz vocals. And so in college, I was in, jazz band um and in and I was singing jazz in high school. But I never thought of it was sort of like an offshoot in my head, this thing that I
Yeah.
just did because I enjoyed it. Um and I always I could never keep I could never remember the songs. And now I look back, like I would get on stage and completely forget everything. And that's
Mm-hmm.
sort of still the case. Like I think that's what makes me an improviser. It's just like it just falls out because when I'm in the moment, it's so hard for me to I think to really commit to singing a repeatable song, you have to bring the audience in and decide that's what it is. But I
Yeah.
think I can like get into this zone where it's just going with the moment. But yeah, I think it was jazz vocals. And then I studied film partially because it was sort of like a art form that I could recognize in like I didn't know you could do interdisciplinary art. I had no idea what that was.
Right.
So I was like, okay, people are, because at my, when I was younger, I wanted to be an actor. But
Yep.
yeah, so growing up, if you don't have artists in your family, you see movies. That's it. That's art, and that's entertainment. So
Right.
yeah.
So like was there ever a period of time early on when you decided that like you wanted to pursue art, you wanted to
Mhm.
pursue music, you have this acting vision in the back of your head, like did you immediately try to combine all those things together, or did you kind of like stick to one thing and they
Mhm.
eventually started to like branch out type shit?
I think I I ended up doing it in the end. Like I remember I did a show where because I was really, with film, I was into documentary. I loved interviewing people. I loved learning about people's lives. So I did a lot of that. Um, and by the end, I did a project where I took a song and I sang it for like a full year and just I it was a jazz standard called I Can't Give You Anything But Love. And so I researched like different people through time who had sung that song. And so did portraits of, I think it was like Louis Armstrong, and had like a performance in the space singing the song. So I guess I started to combine things. Um yeah, I guess it was like sort of research and singing and drawing. Yeah.
That's ill because I was re-listening to your cover of Ain't Misbehaving
Yeah.
earlier today, which is like like considering where it is on that album,
Hmm.
like it follow like it follows this kind of like chaotic song, and then it's just like it just like immediately smash cuts into this straightforward, very cutesy acoustic cover of like this incredible song, like this like I mean like once again like another kind of like jazz standard that
Hmm.
like a million people have made versions of. I don't even know who the first one was,
Yeah.
but like yeah, so like just to see that, like to see you bring that energy to your first album
Hmm.
was really cool to me. And on that's Spirit Says Yes. I don't know, I
Hmm.
don't know why I wasn't saying the title,
Oh yeah,
but
it's
yeah,
all good.
it was just yeah, no,
Yeah.
that was it was just really cool to me. Like that made me smile to see that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I love jazz standards because you can just, anybody can put their life experience into them. It's like a
Yeah.
template. So it's sort of like this song that just gets passed through with time and then you bring your story to it. Yeah, I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, I think jazz is universal and timeless in that
Yeah.
way. And it's weird because like like jazz first starts out and everybody's like, oh, like, devil music, black people
Mm-hmm.
music, like whatever the fuck. But now now everybody loves it. Like like you play it at a party or bring it up around people to give yourself like this air of sophistication.
Yeah.
And like it was like that was like the music of like the people. That was like the shit cranking in the streets, like when it
Mm-hmm.
was like at its like absolute like commercial peak, like that
Yeah.
was like people were cranking that the way they fucking crank like goddamn like Cash Cobain and Pop Smoke. So it's just funny to
Yeah.
see. It's just funny to see how um it's funny to see how those things switch up and change, and like what they signify. At least on like a general cultural scale. Like obviously we have our own personal and cultural and like inner like our own intimate understanding of what that is, but it's just like yeah, like I've always been fascinated with jazz like in that sense in particular. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean it happens so much where like black people start to do something new, it's demonized, which I think is jealousy.
Mm-hmm.
And
100%.
then, and then, you know, it gets swallowed up and then owned. It's so crazy. It just,
Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah,
Um,
and it's just crazy because it's like not about ownership,
right.
like
It's like the
it's just
opposite.
yeah, like
Yeah.
it's just and like of course like we take pride in that because like we're black and it's like our
Hmm.
culture and shit, but like like even then it's not about like this is mine and not yours, like at least on
Hmm.
like an individual
Yes,
level. Like i'm
totally.
i'm like it's not like we're trying to gatekeep music from each other. It's just like this is our creative expression and like we appreciate this. If you appreciate it, cool,
Right.
but like just don't forget where it comes from and like who don't forget who made this shit hot.
Yes,
Like just straight up.
exactly.
So like
Yes, that's it. Simply.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. So I mean like yeah, so like walk me through the creative process behind Spirit Said Yes. Like like with this being like your first project and like already having it be so expansive and wide reaching like
hmm
before you even get into everything else. Like walk me through making Spirit Said Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I had just started learning or teaching myself how to produce. And I was also still in sort of like a documentarian brain. So I was like recording everything. I was going to like a lot of family functions, like weddings and funerals,
Mm-hmm.
and just, as a culture, even in death, there's celebration and joy and humor. So capturing that. And so a lot of samples. So it was like a combination of me starting to use vocal manipulation and me teaching myself how to produce and me getting into sampling. And so it sort of all came together that way.
Yeah. And yeah, like like speaking of the vocal manipulation, like going back to the Ain't Misbehaving cover, like there's a very short bit near the end where
hmm
you just like pitch your voice all the way down, like right at
Yeah.
the end of like right at the I think like it's like the third measure of the hook,
hmm
and like and it's just like that one split second moment, like the other, like the rest of the song is very straightforward, and then there's just that one moment where you just completely distort it and then
hmm
it comes back like nothing ever happened. Like 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 once again it has that like playful experimental tone that
hmm
I think makes this project a lot of fun and just something to it's like it always feels so generic to call shit this, but it really does feel like an experience in
Mm,
that way as opposed to just like like a project or what, like it really does feel like it's trying to communicate with you like
yeah,
actively.
that's good. That's the hope. Yeah, I mean, I think it sort of relates to the, I guess, magical realism thing where you're
Yeah.
doing something or just pushing documentary where you're doing something that's straightforward and then you see behind the curtain. I think that's always interesting to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And then, like and then we get to Wahala and things get even more distorted and even more abstract and it's like these are obviously songs, but
hmm
there's more but like this is very much like poetry. This is very much like just like poetry over ambient music,
Yeah.
like as opposed to like something that you would consider like a traditional quote unquote a quote unquote traditional song.
Yeah.
And of course like Wahala means problem or trouble, and like I guess my first question about this is like what about this album and these songs signifies trouble for you?
Whew. Yeah. I mean, that album is really heavy.
Yeah.
It holds a lot of uh yeah, I guess pain, I think sort of like moving to New York, um, Trump is, present.
Right.
Um, I think I was just grappling with, yeah, pain and confusion and psychosis. I think I was thinking a lot about psychosis as a reaction to oppression rather than like mental illness.
Right.
I think walking around New York and seeing a lot of people struggling with mental illness, um, and there's housing crisis, so people are outside, and I think at that time I was always listening to people who were outside and quote mentally ill, and there's often like a lot of truths that come out, like a man screaming on the corner talking about like surveillance, that's
Yeah.
quote crazy, but it's actually happening. So, yeah, I mean,
Right.
I was thinking a lot about psychosis and mental illness and oppression, and yeah.
Yeah, like this album is really disorienting in that
Hmm.
way. Like even if you don't dig into what you're saying, like
Yeah.
just the general sound and feel of it is, for lack of a better word, kind of chaotic,
It's
like
deeply
there's
chaotic.
yeah, it's like there aren't very many boundaries, and you're just kind of, just like everything's just spooling out how it spools out. Like
Mhm.
the one that really caught me on here was Cowboys,
Oh
actually. Like
yeah.
like just like you, I mean, like like there's it's about more than just that, but it's just kind of being like most cowboys were black, and
Hmm.
just letting, just kind of letting that fact seep out into the ether.
Yeah.
And just like, as like so many of these songs sound like they're falling apart.
Completely.
Like, yeah, like just like or not even just falling apart, but like dissolving in like your hands. It's
Hmm.
like it's really interesting stuff. And like
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh
Sorry, I
well,
didn't mean to cut you
I
off.
no, 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 no. I think that for that album, I feel like it was just pure expression. Like it wasn't about
Yeah.
communication. I wasn't thinking about the audience. I wasn't trying to make it make sense. And I think coming out of that, I was like, I want to start communicating. I want it to be more accessible. I want it to be understood. I want
Hmm.
to hold the conversation as opposed to just, I think like there's something about being young, and I was in DIY punk scene screaming on the ground. So yeah, I think there's something about that youth where you believe that what you feel is true, and yeah, I think maturing, it's kind of like people don't listen to you if you're screaming.
Unfortunately, yeah. A lot of the time.
I mean, they people do, but I guess everything has a place, and
Yeah.
so everything has a place because sometimes you need to act a fool and scream. Um,
Right.
but anyway, that's the rambling.
No,
Um,
100%. I mean,
yeah.
like I've been thinking about it a lot recently, but like I remember when I first listened to like Pink Sifu's Negro, for
Mm.
example. Like that album is so like especially considering that it followed a project that was very like soft and kind of like pastel and
Ooh, that's a good word, pastel.
not aggressive at all, and
Yeah.
then just to follow that up with like this crazy fucking like punk noise experiment where he's like yowling on the mic for fucking 80 minutes. Like it's like I love dissonance in that way
Yeah.
sometimes, when like when it's like controlled, and or controlled is the wrong word, but when it's like deliberate, just like the
Yes.
just you moving from Spirit Said Yes to Wahala to Palm Wine. Like I love that sort of like it's like it really is like the like big vibe, big tone shift, like really
Hmm.
like fucking what's the word I'm looking for? Whiplash. There we go. Like a lot. It's like it's a lot of whiplash in there, and I
Yeah, it's
think
mood
that's
swings.
yeah. And you're like I think that's cool. Like I can tell that you thought pretty deeply about the transitions between those three projects, because all three of them are so different, but you can tell that it's like you in there.
Mm.
And like once again, that's not a like it's not like you're a, at least to me, like this is just me talking, but it doesn't feel like, I know you had said earlier that Palm Wine, you kind of feel like it's, you're a different person, or like at least a different artist
Hmm.
making that project, but like I see you in all three of these,
Mm.
if that makes sense. Like it's not like it's like a complete change and it's like unrecognizable, but
Yeah.
like it's just I guess just a testament to all the different pieces of art you make and how that
Mm.
extends into the music. Yeah, that's my ramble.
Thank
So
you. I appreciate that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
I guess vocals kind of can do that,
yeah.
because if you're singing from the heart, it's going to be the same heart. Um,
Mm.
yeah. So, yeah, I think I just over time I've realized how important vocals are to me because yeah, it just holds so much.
Right. So I mean, like, walk me through palm wine a bit, because like I mean, like, for
Mm,
anybody who may or may not know, of course, like, palm wine is a whole like genre and style of music, but it's also you know, like, it's a style of music, it's a drink, it's like, this is and you know, like, this project is very like pop leaning. It's a little more, for lack of a better word, like decipherable, like, you know,
mm-hmm.
like accessible, like, you've already said that that was like a deliberate aim of yours. So like especially considering everything that happened on Wahala, like, walk me through the decision to go in this direction and make palm wine.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I think I rested in COVID after the chaos of Wahala, that unemployment check hit. Um, so, I was like surfing and working out and being outside. I was living in Altadena, and it was the most beautiful place I've ever lived. Um,
I'm sorry,
it's
where's that?
it's in California. It's in LA.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's where the fires just hit, and
Oh, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, never mind.
It's like a historically black neighborhood, like some of the most beautiful black owned businesses that have been there for like 50 years, families with generational homes, and just like next to the mountains. Like you walk through the mountains and there's like sage and lavender. It was just, I'd never lived in that kind of place. And so I think that time really allowed for a lot of reflection. I was writing a lot, and researching about like guitar music, because yeah, I love folk music. I kind of have taken a break from it, but um, I was really into like some white folk music, and I was like writing about why, because I was like, this is weird. And so I think through that I started researching like West African guitar music,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, the guitar, it's the guitar that speaks, and like finger picking, and that being like a way of relaxation and like self-soothing. And so I fell into that music. And so through this album, there's one song that has some guitar, but it's not a guitar album. But I was feeling into that like ease and reflection that I think guitar music, palm wine music specifically has. And there's like a
Hmm.
humor in palm wine music that I love.
Yeah, and I think more than any other, I mean, like, I've used the word playful a lot today,
Hmm.
but I think more than any other of these projects, like, this one really does lean into that sense of play, and there's like a sense of humor in
Mm.
just like the way the music's composed and sequenced, like, like I said earlier, like, the WhatsApp interlude is just like that's like silly and fun,
Hmm.
like, and it's just like a little moment to have that there, because like, as anybody, as like most people know, like, WhatsApp is just like, like, that's how a lot of people who have family all over the world keep in touch. So, like, it's like
Hmm.
it's this app. I mean, we all know what WhatsApp is. I don't know why I'm
Yeah.
trying to explain it, but just like, I like that you decided to, like, it felt to me like you were trying to squeeze that phenomenon into like this like 50-60 second song, um
Yeah.
41 second song, excuse me, but yeah, like, yeah, it was
Yeah.
just fun.
Yeah, I think, I used to, when I was playing uh during like Spirit Said Yes era, I would always like um use like Skype sounds and just communication sounds in my sets, because I just love the sounds. I just think they're
Yeah.
like so beautiful. Um so I think it was also like just trying to bring all of those ideas from for the past many years into one space. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. And like, we were talking earlier about like MTV and BET and 106 and Park, and of course there's two songs on here called MTV and MTV2, and
Hmm.
like, they and they both kind of kind of, they flow into each other.
Mhm.
And stuff like the 3-track run that really got me here was Disappear, To Put Your Faith in God, to EPKWY.
Mm.
Like, just like, once again, like, those are 3 songs that don't necessarily sound similar at all, but they sound perfect playing one after the other. Like, the
Mm.
sequencing
Thank
is
you.
just like bam, bam, bam. So
Mhm. Sweet.
like, just because I'm curious, like, what was it like sequencing this project and putting it together?
Mm.
Like, and I mean, just because, yeah, once again, I'm curious, like, how many songs did you make for this? Like, like, were these the only songs you made, or were there like a bunch of others? Or...
I mean, I think I made like 30 songs. I guess that's going to be
Okay.
another project.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so working on that now. But um, it was confusing. I think because the songs are so different. I
Yeah.
was just like, how is this structured? I think I had like multiple uh, drafts of how I wanted it to be. And I was using like my brain, and then I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna use my intuition. And if it
Mm.
doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. But um, I think a lot of this also because I was trying to work with more song structure, it was like learning how to balance the brain and the heart, which is, I think, some of that, but I think I hadn't really gotten close to mastering that balance, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Yeah.
So I guess it's like left brain, right brain. Um, yeah.
That makes total sense to me, because like, that's like, I was gonna bring it back to the like, you coming from not really giving a shit about song structure to like
Mm-hmm.
really considering it. Like, like, that's a pretty huge leap to make.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it sounds like you've been making this type of music all along. Like, it
Mm.
doesn't sound like it was a struggle. It doesn't sound like it doesn't sound like there was any like transition or adjustment needed. Like, it sounded
Mm.
like you've like when I'm not gonna lie, when I first heard this project, I was like, oh, you've been making music like this the whole time. And then I go back and hear everything else, and I'm like, no.
Yeah,
No,
deeply
you
no.
haven't. So like,
Yeah, deeply no.
you know.
And I think part of it was like COVID. Before I was playing like 2 shows a week. Like during
Mm-hmm.
the Spirit Said Yes Wahala era, I was like, uh, yeah, helping to run a music venue and just playing as much. I would say yes to any show. And so a lot of my music was written while playing. So I would just come in with different samples and different beats and just improvise. So this approach was very different because I wasn't playing shows because of COVID. So
Right.
really had to like produce and like I spent more time in the studio than with any of the other projects.
Did you produce all these songs?
No, this was also the first time where I worked with other producers. I'd usually, and I think that was part of me wanting to collaborate with people who produce pop,
Yeah.
to learn from it. Uh, and so, yeah, I worked with several people, um, and that was like the best part of it, I think, just learning from people.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm so mad I asked that question the way I did, because yeah,
Oh,
of course,
no.
like you had what's it called? You worked with So Drove and
Hmm.
Felicita, and yeah, like a bunch of like yeah, no, like a bunch of people who've worked with like people big and small. So,
Hmm.
it's like, it's cool to see you ease into that process, and kind of like opening up to anybody on a musical level in that way, and being like, I want to like work with you to like giving yourself to somebody else's production is not an easy thing to do. Like
Yeah.
the inclination, like as somebody who does a lot of what I do with this in particular, like myself, it
Hmm.
can be difficult to it could be difficult to give up any part of that process,
Yeah.
because like, what you want, and
Yes,
and, like and like
definitely.
and you're like, you can't control what other people like think and feel and ideas. Like, obviously it's great to have like an exchange of ideas, but
Hmm.
there's always that little inkling of like, damn, like, what if this doesn't become fully mine? And it's a like, it's not real, Like
Yeah.
I gotta say that up front, it's not real. Like give yourself to that. Like
Right.
but like it's always there for people who might be more inclined to keep it to themselves and just do it
Hmm.
that way. But like it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's like also, yeah, I think a lot of this was like the process of being okay with being seen, you know? Like if you're
Yeah.
working with someone, you have to just, you're out there. Um, and also communicating. You have to really figure out how to communicate and allow and, yeah, work through the control stuff, control issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, like working through all that stuff and figuring it out leads you to opportunities like having your songs be in movies. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the songs on this album was in a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Fully Lost, Fully Found was in Nanny, you
Mm-hmm.
know, which is like,
Oh yeah,
you know, like
you're a movie person. Yeah.
come on, like you know,
Yeah.
like once again, like once again, like I mean, like that movie was a real big deal. Like it was
Yeah.
everywhere. I still haven't seen it. Like
Yeah.
that's the theme of the day. I like it's like you can like I guess like you can be a movie person and still have like 80 million shits you've
Oh,
never
there's so
seen.
many movies.
And
Yeah.
and that's kind of the beautiful thing about it. But like it made me really happy because like that was one of my favorite songs on this project, and
Oh,
then to
thank
see it,
you.
you know, like to see it pop up like in Nanny, I'm like, wow, like
Yeah.
it just made me happy. So like, um, who reached out to you about making that happen? Like, how did it feel to have that happen? Because that's like that's not like I don't know, like having a song in a movie is like that's like dream shit to me.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It was so Nikiatu Jusu is, an amazing Sierra Leonean filmmaker. And yeah, we've known each other for a long time. Our parents, are close.
hmm.
So I,
Oh, y'all play cousins. Okay, got
exactly. Yeah.
it.
So I think it's kind of a miracle that we relate to each other's art. Like, I can't believe I have someone in my life who makes movies like that. It's really thoughtful, and I think it just was, uh, the timing was perfect. I think it really suits the scene that it was in, and yeah. And I mean, yeah, this past year, I don't know if you saw Seeking Mavis Beacon.
No.
It's oh okay. Yeah, so Mavis Beacon, I don't know if you grew up working with her, but she was like it was like a program for you to learn how to type. And she was like
Hmm.
she's a Haitian woman, and this person Jasmine Jones and Yelen made this film that sort of fought is like a search for finding this woman who was basically like a black avatar who taught um, who was in a program that teaches people how to type. And I love the movie, and it's sort of like felt like sort of like a grown up extension of like the digital art era that I sort of grew up in and love. And so yeah, I had got a song in that movie, and so I think that'll be on my next project. It's sort of like an ambient piano song. And so I had never thought about like songs for movies. But I think it's really cool, and I think it makes sense in terms of like just the way that I like to think about songs. So I hope it happens more.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you pop the seal now, so like I can't imagine it won't. So like,
Yeah.
did you make the song specifically for the movie? Because like, of course, the movie came out before the album did. But
Yeah, no. I actually, for Fully Lost, Fully Found, it was a commission from Adult Swim. And
oh
so,
shit.
yeah.
Okay.
So Adult Swim had a singles project where yeah, you know it.
I remember. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so during COVID, they reached out asking for a song. And so I had been working on that song, and that sort of pushed me to finish it. So it was one of those Adult Swim singles. And then I guess Nikki Yatu's team saw the song, and it just that's how it happened.
That's so dope. I didn't even know the Adult Swim connection was there. Like
Yeah.
that was like when they were, I mean, like they're still doing cool stuff now, but that was when it was like peak Adult Swim. You know,
Hmm.
like the sing like I love the singles program. I'm sad they don't do it anymore,
I
honestly.
know. It was really
Um
cool curation. I mean, they've
y-
always been forefront of music. It's so cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nah, like, I know things changed a little bit when DeMarco left and went to go work at Warner Brothers, and like he's
Hmm.
still I think he may still be working on Toonami, but not really. I don't know. But
Yeah.
either way, like that, like like Adult Swim played a huge role. Super basic. I wouldn't know who Flying Lotus was without Adult Swim.
Oh,
You know,
Flying
like,
Lotus was like Adult
like
Swim core. Yeah,
yeah, man. Like yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, no, like him and like like Dilla, Thelonious Martin, like just like
Yes.
all those all that like, and of course like Nujabes, like him and Dilla's
Oh my
birthday was just
God.
yesterday. Like that, like that's like that was like that era, and that music is so close to my heart. Like so
Yeah.
I
Just like really
yeah.
deep like instrumental beat driven. It's just yeah, that was a really cool era.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like the purest shit to me. You know, like
Yeah.
it really sends me to a zone that no other music really does.
Hmm.
And it's interesting because I meant to bring this up before, but like considering, because like full disclosure, Flying Lotus is You're Dead might be one of my favorite albums of all time.
Mm.
There was a period of time where I was like, I want to like I've sat with, it's almost 10 years old. I've sat with it for so long, and then and
Yeah.
like one day, maybe like 2 months ago, I was like, this might be like a top 10 album ever for me.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
like the whole thing about it is like, it's about the experience of death and having that kind of be like joyful and something that's like it's about like it's transitional and not necessarily like a scary thing. Like I
Hmm.
loved that idea about it, you
Yeah.
know. But I feel like Wahala kind of fits in the same mold for me a little bit, which is
Mm.
like weird because I know that it's like it's very much about like anxiety and like how fucked up oppressive things can really like break your brain.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like negative to me. It doesn't feel like pessimistic or
Mm.
nihilistic or anything like that. It's just about, you know, having enough hope and self-awareness to navigate the brain break. I don't know.
Yeah. No,
Like
that's
it's like
okay. Just grappling with it.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I
like
mean, I'm
yeah.
happy you brought up Flying Lotus. I feel like, yeah. I mean, it's not, I don't, it's sort of like futuristic and or like interdimensional music where
Yeah.
you're like, oh, this is like a whole dimension. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, and like I feel like I could say the same, for like the stuff you make. Like you like these are like worlds that you're building, like
mm,
these are like statements and not just like a collection of songs, which like once again, nothing wrong with a great collection of songs, but like you're trying to tell a story and
mm,
like create an experience that's encapsulated in this project that you're
thank you.
giving to people, and like that's always going to be important,
Mm,
like it's like that's not a, you can't really take stuff like that for granted. So like I noticed that when I was listening to Palm Wine and just like taking in all these like really nice like poppy elements and just like hearing the hooks, and yeah, like it was, and once again, like considering how much of a shift it is from the last one, like it's just,
yeah.
like seeing you molt in that way is pretty cool. So
Thank you. I
yeah.
appreciate that. You listen. I appreciate you listening so deeply.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know, like y'all put a lot of work into the music you make, and
Mhm.
like if I'm going to have you on my show, I want to at least like it's a respect thing, like that's like that goes back to just like my training as a writer. Like I'm not just going to like, yeah, like we're not here to gloss over shit. Like
Yeah.
that's not how I roll. So
Yeah. Thank
um
you.
of course, but I mean, like this has been a great conversation. I feel like we could go for like a while longer, but
Yeah.
to formally wrap this up, Ricky, Yatta, if your life was a movie, what would it be about?
Oh. That's crazy. Um, Probably the internet
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I think the internet, weirdly. Um, because I think it's sort of the only space in my life that's been deeply consistent. I've moved around a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think it sort of holds everything weirdly. Um, yeah, and then I think it would end up outside in like a beautiful, beautiful nature space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's start once again. There we go with the stark contrasts and the vibe shifts. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
because
we would be deep in the internet and then we'd end up outside.
that's nice. I like that. And yeah, I'm happy you brought up you moving around a lot because I forgot to ask about that because like you've been all over the states, you've been all over the world, you've like obviously toured all over the world, but like
Mhm.
how many places have you lived? Like I just yeah, I
Oh my
I I need to
God.
know. I need to know.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's
Because you already
maybe
mentioned
like
like four or five.
7, 8. But
Okay.
I was thinking the other day, like in the past 2 years, I think I was living in like 11 places, which is insane.
Yeah. That's
I
that's
just
that's
it's insane. I mean, I do I guess I do residencies and things like that, but I'm used to traveling, which is why my computer and the internet is like my home in a way.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, like it's grounding.
Hmm.
Like I mean like I travel a lot too, but it's mostly like within the tri-state, like
Yeah.
I'm
Oh
not
yeah, you're
really in
going
one
back and forth.
yeah, I'm not really in one place for more than like 3 weeks at a time. So,
Wow.
I'm
It's
also very
tiring too.
it's exhausting, but
Yeah.
like that's what life and love does to us sometimes. And I wouldn't
Exactly.
have it any other way. But
Yeah.
I'm like I say that to say that I get exactly what you mean by like the internet being home and just kind of
Hmm.
like being that base that connects you to not even just the world, but like like and like of course it's complicated.
Yeah,
Like
of
we're
course.
we're like I just sat in on this panel at NYU that my man Peyton threw called Shades of Discourse, and one of the things
Mm,
that came up was just like how like our relationship with social media and how it's like it's complicated, like it's
definitely.
obviously capable of like some really evil fucked up things, but it's also like a source of connection and a source of like
Hmm.
just like easy way to share things. Like that's like
Yeah.
like the internet's not a utopia, but it's also
No.
like not completely dystopic either. Like it's really something in the middle.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
like but like it's also like it's a part of our lives. Like we can't we're like I don't want to we're not necessarily like I feel like we're past the point where we could just like unplug from that, like
Yeah.
as a society. Like
Yeah.
obviously individuals can just leave if they want, but like it's too ingrained in society for
Yeah.
us to just be like, yep, no more internet. Like we're past the point where we can do that,
Yeah.
you know
And yeah,
but
and if you're someone who likes to research, it's like heaven,
yeah.
you know? And then,
Right.
especially now with like news sources being so compromised,
Mm-hmm.
like, being figuring out where to get your news now, it's a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, like figuring out where to get your news and like the library. Like I think about this all the time. Like I don't know what the future holds for the library at this
I
point. They're about to
know.
fucking gut the Department of Education.
It's terrifying.
Like so like like I just want to like I have mine. Go get a library card.
Oh,
Whoever's listening to this,
I love the
wherever you,
library.
if you're in the United States, go get a library card. It's free. You pay nothing for it. It's there for you. Like even just as like a hey, let me like the more people sign up to use the library, the more likely they are to fund it and for it to still be there.
Hmm.
Like if you feel like it, go use it, but like at least just like get a library card. Like
Yeah.
it's cool to have a library card.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, and it's like a place to go that you don't have to
yeah.
pay. You don't have to buy coffee. You can
Right.
just,
Like
yeah.
you could just
Yeah.
go and post up for a couple hours. It's
Yeah.
it's really beautiful.
Hmm.
But Ricky, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Like
this was
this
great.
was. Oh yeah, no, I'm happy to hear that. Like I said, I just don't ever want people to get scared and be like, oh, like I'm not like a, like this isn't about being an expert. Like this is
Yeah.
just like, it's all about like what you like and what's molded and shaped you. And I'm just happy to like I said, like like when Gang sent me this album, I was like, yeah, we need to talk. Like I knew immediately that we'd have some cool shit to talk about, and this was very enlightening. I added 4 movies to my Letterboxd watch list, so
wow, great.
no, you definitely put me on today, so I
Oh,
appreciate it.
good. Okay, thanks so much. This has been amazing.
Nah, no doubt. Like thank you for wanting to do it.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. Shout out to y'all for making it this far, and shout out to all the Black people listening too, because y'all really impeccable. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell a friend to come through next time. 1.